The thing I wanted to say is tied into that similar sort of a question. If it's going to be on the ballot, I would be interested, and I don't know if this is something the village could provide, but the value of the land, or the value of, if it was houses, what that means property tax wise, or, you know, even an average, what that would gain financially to the village for either or both of those properties, or three, depending on how you break it out. You know, how much square foot is there? Things like that. What we could gain financially in a selling situation and over time. I know some of that determines by how big the house is and stuff like that. But
We can look into that. Mr. Metz?
I'm a little confused. The agenda item says the village lease, and we're talking about a referendum now. What does that have to do with the lease?
In my comments, I gave the information about the lease. There is no written lease by its terms. It has expired. It is still a written lease that is rolled over month to month. There's background that I want people to know, and I use this as an opportunity as the village president to raise the bigger issue, because as I said, there are people who love the place and want to keep it, and I've heard from people who keep questioning about it, how much money it's going to cost. There's potential mold issue over there that could end up, testing it probably is not going to cost a lot of money, but God forbid it require a major repair to the foundation. So that, in my opinion, that's what it has to do with the lease.
I just think it's deceptive. It says lease here, and we're talking about something completely different.
Well, we talked about the lease. Did you miss that part?
I did, but I didn't catch the part on the agenda where it talks about anything further. And it is a big issue, I agree with you. And so I think it just should have been noted duly.
that it was an agenda
So
item.
residents could be notified, perhaps they'd be here to discuss it further.
We're not taking formal action on it tonight either.
Well, I don't know that because it says a possible vote may take place on the agenda items. So how do I know that?
Comments noted, thank you. On this side?
Oh, Becky Glasscock, 123 Acacia Circle. I agree with the Met, to Joan Metz. I think had it been on the agenda, there would be a lot more people here. I am a docent at the library. I've counted over 200 cards of residents that use the library, and the people that have never graced the doors of the library are some of the people that are complaining, and they don't know how many people in the village actually use the library. And our readership is growing every day. I think 2 weeks ago, Saturday, I was the docent, and in a 2-hour span, there were like 15 people that came through, which is not a lot. But what else does the village have to offer our residents? We have good bestsellers. We don't have a lot of reference, but a lot of good fiction, and I love the library. So I'm definitely going to vote for it if there's a, but I don't, it really upsets me when people say, I don't like it, and they've never been inside it.
Okay. Anybody else?
And maybe the mold is just old books. And you know, old books have a smell.
I'm not going to discuss the merits of the pro or con of the Heritage Center, so I'm just asking a leasing question or a liability question that might be council oriented. Did you say we have a month-to-month lease, or do we not have a lease today that's been signed and enacted? Am I understanding it is a month-to-month lease, or we do not have a lease with the Heritage Foundation?
We have a written lease that was for a 2-year period based on a monthly rate that expired in 2009.
Okay.
So it's the end of 2008, beginning of 2009.
It expired at the end of 2009.
Yeah, the only question I think that's very black and white is if that organization, which we understand has done so many great things to help fund that facility, is there and conducting some type of business in the office, falls down the stairs from that organization or has something, is there a liability without having a current lease? I think that's a business question that we didn't want to create a situation where we have more liability with a situation where we don't have an existing business, formal business lease. That's all. I think this might have erupted other questions about the viability or whether we agree with it being a library or not. I think from a business perspective, some of us are asking, do we open up the village to liability because we do not have a lease that is signed? It's simple as that, trying to be black and white in a gray question, okay, gray matter. So that's from a legal standpoint. We want to try to support this. We want to try to do what the people have elected us to do, what they think is the best thing to do for the village. And I would certainly not want to have any added liability. If we are creating a liability here, then we need to know from council and take action so we don't do that.
Well, I haven't seen the prior lease, but unless the prior lease had some responsibility of the tenant to maintain or repair the Heritage Center, I believe the liability would be different. If the lease transferred that liability or that responsibility to the tenant to repair and maintain, my answer would be different, but I suspect, since it sounds like it was the Heritage Foundation, not-for-profit corporation, I suspect that they didn't have any repair and or maintenance obligations.
Yeah, so that, just trying to be black and white about it, is it, are we doing the right thing here legally and from a liability standpoint? And how can we protect our assets against any other people seeking damages from our government or municipal corporation?
Well, I mean, I could happily take a look at the old lease, but
Doesn't matter, right?
it's not in effect anymore.
Right.
It's expired, so the terms of the old lease wouldn't necessarily be applicable on month tenancy.
Right, so, I mean, how do you, you're getting money from them, or they're funding it, or they're what?
We get rent on a quarterly basis from the foundation.
So just by chance, if they are using the facility, right, and they're using the office that they have there, and they don't have a lease, is there a liability, is there a liability associated with that?
Be no different than any of the docents or volunteers who were there,
Okay.
be the same.
We would be protected by the Tort Immunity Act over there too.
Well, but I believe that we have insurance, so
Right, so I-
there's a waiver of the Tort
That was
Immunity Act
the
to
question.
the extent that
Is there any, liability, and,
I'm not in a position to answer that.
No, I understand.
I don't believe it'd be any different than the liability that we are potentially exposed to by any other resident who goes on the premises.
Anything else?
No.
I had one more to add on to what Becky said. I think you said there are 400 cards,
No, a little over 200.
a little over 200. Last time I was there, I did a rough count of the guest book, and for a year, I estimated there were roughly 1,000 people that signed the guest book, and that's plus or minus probably 100. I did a pretty quick, I didn't count, but what I got from it was more than 200 and less than 10,000.
Well, it's been a while since I counted, but when I was
Yeah.
sitting there and I counted the cards of people that were actively using the library, and that, and like someone said, and I probably have said this before in other meetings, one person who comes and uses, or used to use the library, he's now deceased, he said, it's the only thing we have going in the village. It's the gem of the village. And I have to agree with him. Sorry.
Okay.
Hi,
Oh, I'm sorry.
that's okay, I'm little back
This is
here.
not Smith.
I had two comments. First of all, I don't think 1,000 is an accurate count, because the docents are signing every time they're there, and you're not getting unique visitors, you're getting people who maybe come every week or
That's what I said,
whatever
sign the
else. So,
guest book.
but so I just wanted to clarify that it's not that thousands of people have hit the Heritage Center. And then the other thing, I'm glad to hear, Becky, that you're talking about active users, because I know that there have been, I don't know how often those cards are pulled, but there are people who've been deceased that have cards.
And particularly
So I don't know how often we go through, you know, how many
And we-
people are actually
And we
active.
do occasionally, and we have a list of things that you can do when you're a docent,
Mhm.
to, you know, and you can do that.
Yeah.
And, but I know the people that really use the library, they read the books, and they really enjoy it. And I think it would be a shame, especially for the elderly who can't really go and pay, you know, the other community, funds that it costs to join the library. And all they want to do is read a good book. They don't want reference, they don't want big dictionaries, they don't need computers. And that's what we have. And it was started by the foundation and Jane Coon. And I don't know whether you know it, but Jane just had a terrible fall. And she's now in Plymouth Place, rehabbing, so. But I would hate to see it. In fact, I'm gonna leave for a while, and I thought, just telling Judy, I think I'm gonna stay home and start a rally to keep the library. And if you know people that don't like the library, have them come and look and see what we have there. We really have some great books. We've got all of Patterson, all of Sanford, mystery, a great mystery section. It's super. And our children's section is growing. We've had parents, mothers come with 2 or 3 kids and they sit on the carpet. One little girl the other day took like 6 books out. And they take them home and read it. You don't have a library, they don't have that choice. So, enough said.
Ms. Glasscock, would you be kind enough to give a plug for the book sale at the Heritage Center? That's
Yes.
not on the
Oh,
agenda
yes.
either, but I'll let you do
And
that.
I also want to take this town hall meeting, we'll take it and put it in our billboards. The town hall.
It will also be, it should be on the internet, on the website,
Right.
it will also be in the smoke signals, but if we've got some extras there. But what, it's
November 2nd, we're gonna have a book.
Saturday, November 2nd, and what time do you start?
We start at 9 o'clock.
9 for the
9
book
o'clock
sale?
to 9 to 3. We'll have a big sign out. And we've got lots of books for sale. And I'm thinking in the back of my mind, maybe we can help the foundation. I had to put a little note that said, I'm gonna find out how much we have in the library fund. Maybe we can help the foundation pay their monthly. So that we.
What, that, yeah.
So.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we'll move along to the next item, Chief, report regarding the ash trees.
Yes, I had asked Bill, who works at our Public Works Department, he not only does water and whatever else is required for Public Works, he's also an arborist, to take an inventory of what all we're hearing about the ash trees and the infection of the ash trees. And I asked him to let me know how many we have and some suggestions. And I think in this report, as you'll see, he came up with some pretty good suggestions. It would have been simple just to say, well, let's start budgeting and cut down every tree, and I didn't think that's a good idea. If some could be saved, it may be able to delay some from being cut down, I don't know, it all depends how they take to the treatment. But it's worth a try if we have to take somebody down now, and maybe 2 years from now, some that can respond to the treatment will have to come down. It'll be less of an expense or a burden on the village. So he broke these up into 3 categories of trees, and they're based on what's called the DBH, which is diameter of breast height, which I believe is a man standing, by a tree and being able to hug that tree. There's what the diameter of the tree is. The back of this, the last 1, 2, 3 pages, I believe, has the total list of all the trees by categories, 3 categories. The first category are ash trees that are 10 inches DBH or less, and he suggests that these trees can be treated with a soil drenching insecticide at only a cost of $6 per tree. We buy the insecticide, the Village Public Works Department will issue the treatment. He came up with 51 trees that we could try doing this too, at a cost of $306, which is a lot cheaper than if you had to take 51 trees down. I think here on category 3 is a list of trees that would need to come down now. There's 8 trees that he recommends we do take down. As you can see, 8 trees to take down and replace is about $3,600. So it's a good try to treat them, he suggests, at $306, and this be done every spring, so it's a very minimal cost. Then he came up with a category 2 greater than 10 inches in DBH, and these trees would need to be treated by having the trunk of the tree injected at a cost of $63 per tree. And he found 19 trees, and again, it's in the back under category 2 where these trees are located, that he would recommend doing this at $63 a tree. So that's $1,197. And if the tree survives, then we keep our tree. If some of them do not, then they would be moved into category 3 where he has listed the 8 trees that he recommends come down now. And that is also, I believe, in the last page, shows where the 8 trees are, where they're located. That should be removed, where treatment would not help, they're already dead. And basically, I think it's a good program, I think it's worth a try, and as he stated here in this little presentation, as trees grow, if they survive from category 1, they may move to category 2. As the years go on, some trees from category 2 may have to move to category 3 and be removed. But at least it's not very expensive, we're giving it a try. We'll see if this works. Some towns have taken they're bigger towns and financially probably better off, and just taken the stance that they're just cutting them all down. Some towns are trying the treatment. And I think it would be worth us, on the recommendation of Bill, to go ahead and take these 3 categories and try the treatment, take down the ones that treatment will do no good and should come down, and see where it takes us. It's a plan, it's out there for a few years, and see how it survives. And Public Works will monitor them, and they'll do the treatments, and we'll see where it takes us.
First of all, Chief, can you tell Bill it's great, we appreciate the effort on this report. Is it possible that we could get this put on the website?
Yes, I just didn't put it on the website yet, I wanted to present it to the board.
It is on the website.
It is.
Oh, you know it is, I take it back, it's on with the ordinance, I'm sorry.
In color.
Website, yes.
That's great.
We forget to put it up.
And money that we have budgeted for this purpose?
We have budgets under the tree, taking trees down, and that type of thing that we could use. So that's a suggestion, I think it's a good suggestion, and Paul, I think it's a good suggestion.
Trustees, questions, comments? I'll start here. Trustee O'Loughlin.
On category 3, do you have by chance know the DBH size for those trees?
I would have to, no, I don't, let's see if he has it here, category 3. No, he doesn't have it listed, but I would imagine they are the biggest trees. The big ones that seem to be that. Yes. The younger trees, the smaller ones, but they could take the treatment a little bit better. But I certainly could find that out.
I think the report is fantastic, I support it, I think it's good work, thank you very much.
Okay. Questions, comments, audience that, okay.
Where are you going?
Front row here, yes. Say your name and your address though, please.
Don't you have to replace every tree you pull it out?
Well, that's what it states here on the category 3. The cost would be, the average cost of removal and replacement is about $450 per tree.
Your name? Jean Murphy,
And your address?
123 Acacia.
Thank you. Okay, bye.
Shirley Yang, 11120 Glenbrook Lane. Are the trees along Wolf Road that line Ashford, are those ash trees? I thought they were.
They may not be our trees though, that's county.
Oh, is that county?
But they are ash trees, and I believe Ashbrook treated those trees. Do you remember that Ashbrook,
Yeah, the town
The town hall.
association is treating those.
is treating those trees on Wolf Road there.
And the second question, is the insecticide here specific for the ash borer disease?
Yes.
Yellow ash borer? It's a lot cheaper than what I'm paying getting the tree.
Oh, it's worth the try.
I think there was somebody over here on the right. No, okay.
Carol Coleman, 129 Acacia Circle. On what, may I ask what, if you know, what kind of trees are you using or will be replacing the old ones?
Fruit trees.
Oh, yeah, it won't be ash tree, I'll tell you that.
Right.
I haven't really discussed that yet with Public Works.
Is it gonna be a variety or all one kind or?
I don't know, did Bill talk about that?
We'd probably recommend a variety of.
A variety of trees, that's what I,
Fruit trees.
that's what I thought he said, a variety.
Yeah, I mean, this is, right now, it's 8 trees, it's great. My daughter lives in a northern suburb and you go down the street and it's.
Well, some
totally
suburbs, like
wiped
I
out.
said, have just decided they're not gonna treat them, and they're just gonna let them take them down.
The one nice thing is that they put in a variety of
Yeah.
trees once again.
That's what we planned, I didn't know if you wanted names, I don't know.
No, there's, thank you.
No, not back, okay. All right, then that concludes the agenda items, so then at this time we'll have questions and or comments from the audience. However, I would like to defer just briefly to trustee Hinshaw, who had informed me before the meeting that he has 2 quick items that we'd like to.
Yes, I wanted to see if there was any update on the microphones. Tonight may not be a big issue because I think the Bears are playing, but normally you've had bigger crowds.
The biggest update is we found out it doesn't work, so now the question is what do we do?
Okay. And then, Frank, I wanted to thank you for getting the engineering breakdown of the expenses, the retainer, and wanted to find out if there was an update on the legal services, getting a breakdown of the information.
No update on that yet, working on it?
Okay, I have a message from Dan Lynch, who cannot be here tonight. Dan is at 6482, and Kathy, I think you have this electronically, or if you don't, Frank has. Tom, sorry I can't make the meeting tonight. I am wondering if you can help me with getting the message read at the meeting, because I can't be in attendance. As mentioned to you earlier, on the 18th, I spoke with Frank Alonso for having a conversation with an Indian Head Park public employee where I was not treated with respect. The conversation was not anything close to a normal level of service from a public employee. The reason for my call to Frank was that the Public Works employee directed me to call Frank and gave me the phone number to call. It was like he dared me to call, so I had to call. I called Frank and specifically asked him about this specific Public Works employee and his improper poor attitude when discussing village issues. The employee was angry that morning. Number 2, the village property truck with no Indian Head Park marking. I've asked the village employee why there was no marking on the village pickup. He told me that's Frank. All the villages around us have markings on their truck. Why does our village not have a marking other than municipal plates? Number 3, Blackhawk Trail. I discussed the poor repair job that our Public Works Department did on the 6400 block of Blackhawk, as well as the general poor contractor work done on Blackhawk. Tom, when the village made the repair, it became the village responsibility for that repaired section. Our village work has failed and we have done nothing to correct this pavement patch. If it was the contractor that made the repair patch, I'm sure he would have the contractor fix it, but it was our village who made the repair and it was a poor job. It is a failed job, why isn't it fixed? Frank said that day he was going to drive the street and review this with the head of Public Works. Ending point, I spoke for about 15 minutes with Frank, and his response was that if I didn't hear from him in a couple of weeks, that I should contact him again. I did not hear from Frank. It should not be a resident's responsibility to call him back. He should be required to maintain a log of all resident calls for action and provide timely responses. Tom, this guy works for the village. It has been 22 days since my call. We should have some answers by now. A couple other thoughts. It's my understanding that our village staff has not had a review in many years. Is that correct? And if so, why? Or if so, why is that? What is the status of leaf pickup service for this year? With the poor level of services that received, I would not support any increase in my taxes for the village. Thanks for your support of the village and all the hard work. That ends that note, and then I wanted to highlight, there is a blood drive at the Congregational Church, Lions Congregational Church on the corner of Wolf and Joliet, this Saturday from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. Life Source is running it. Thank you.
In the back.
I had two things that I wanted to mention. Actually, I'm thinking of a third. The first thing is I wanted to thank the people in charge who managed to get the people to come back to Wolf Road and fix the butchering job of the trees that was done on the west side. It looks a heck of a lot better. I only wish they had come back and fixed the east side of the road when they did that, because that still looks pretty bad. But I'm hoping that whatever that took to get them to come back, maybe now they'll do a better job first time through. So thank you to that. I appreciate that.
That's Director Santon, Superintendent Santon's largely responsible for that.
Thank you.
I went out there.
And Frank,
We
Frank
went
too.
out and looked at it.
I know Frank talked to me
Appreciate your
about it.
comment.
The other thing I wanted to mention is, I really, really liked the, having the information online with the agenda, the change in the ordinance and the ash borer report, and I thought that was great. And it made me wonder if we could put maybe as a to-do list item to have all our ordinances put online, not just the ones that we're changing, so that residents can go there when they have a question about what they want to do or what the rules are around something, and they can see easily ordinances. I think it would save everybody some time, and it'd be a benefit to the open, transparent government tab. And then the last thing I wanted to mention, because Tom mentioned that blood drive, I noticed that the Village of Burr Ridge is having the Motor Services Department come on October 23rd, I believe, to do motor vehicle stuff, like you can renew a license and stuff, you go to the village hall. I think in the short term, anybody who wants to should go to that, but I think in the long term, that would be a really nice village benefit. I don't think it costs us anything, and I think
I mean, just to let you know, I actually have a contact, I'm working on that, and thought with the fall and winter coming, that this would be a great thing for next spring, and I'm also looking into having a village-located electronic recycling drive. At some point, we could hold that down at the Public Works building.
that sounds great. Maybe we could have like a community day and have the motor services and the recycling and God knows, I don't know what else, maybe a blood drive. But, you know, it might be a nice way to gather people together and get some community spirit and offer something that we don't have to pay for to do
Picture
it.
a nice electronic recycling drive in the morning, followed by Department of Motor Vehicle Services, early to mid-afternoon, and then a family fun event like we
Like
used
a
to be
BYO
able to
picnic.
Yeah.
have later in the day.
Music and giving blood.
Blood drive separate.
Come as your own
But,
vampire?
yeah,
Sounds good.
But for, I'm not sure when, when it could be scheduled in, but my thoughts were like the latter part of spring, because early spring here is almost like winter.
Yeah.
But that and the recycling for probably the same time frame, I should say. Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
Anybody else? All right, hearing nothing, then the chair would entertain a motion to adjourn. Trustee Bailey, second. Second, trustee Schnaufer, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed? Meeting adjourned, thank you.